So glad that you have joined me tonight for this conversation about manifesting your cronehood. If you don't know me yet, I'm Tracy Sweeney, and I am a coach and a mentor and a crone. And my mission is to help women age well. And I'm here to help women take back the power and the honor of the word crone. So cronehood generally is assumed to begin at the end of perimenopause. So menopause being 12 months after your last menstrual period. So I originally called this presentation Manifesting Your Cronehood, but as I went down the rabbit hole and I worked on it, it has kind of turned into my 9-point cronehood manifesto. And I am sharing it. It's a work in progress. And I'm sharing it here in the hope that it will help you perhaps write your own manifesto for your own cronehood, because it's the most powerful time of your life. It really is. And and let me get this screen sharing going. Let's see. Let's try this again. All right, here we go. So, manifesting your cronehood. So let me tell you about your cronehood. It's Act 3 of your life. And it is possibly the best time of your life. There's a report in the New England Journal of Medicine a couple of years ago that the findings were that the age of people between 60 and 70, that is their most productive time of life. The number 2 time of life was 70s to 80s. The number 3 most productive time of life is 50s to 60s. All of this is your cronehood. And it's very exciting for me to know that when I'm 65, I have 20 years of great productivity in front of me, maybe even more. And if you are in your 30s and 40s, you have this to look forward to. You can plan and execute and know that the good stuff is coming. So in menopause, though, you do some really serious house cleaning. While your body is going through physical changes, your psyche is shifting, and it's like you're going to a new country and you're going to find another. And in this new country, you get to set the rules. Some parts of the world call menopause second spring, and it truly is. It's a new beginning. So the qualities of a crone, as I went down the rabbit hole, I read some really great books. And one of them was called Crones Don't Whine, Concentrated Wisdom for Juicy Women. And it's by a psychiatrist. Her name is Jean Shinoda Bolin. And so she had these 13 qualities of crones that I wanted to share with you, because I would like you to consider them and see where they might or might not belong in your life. So crones don't whine. They let go of should have, could have, might have been. Crones are juicy and zesty. They have passion and soul. Crones have green thumbs. And in this case, we're talking about they foster growth, not just in themselves, but in others. Crones trust what they know in their bones. They're older, wiser, and they've learned to trust their intuition if they hadn't already done so. And crones meditate in their fashion. And I'm not talking necessarily about classic meditation, although crones might do that, but they knit and they stare out the window and they're quiet and they clean and they cook and they fold laundry. Crones are fierce in what matters to them. They have righteous anger. It's paired with wisdom, which may be the most productive kind of anger that you can have. Crones choose the path with heart. And when there's a fork in the road, they understand that there's a cost to the path that they're going to take. Crones speak the truth with compassion. They listen with their bodies inside deeply. They improvise because they know that challenges are going to come before them. And so that's life. They roll. Crones don't grovel, they're queens, and they have crowns. In fact, crone comes from the word crown. And crones laugh together, and because they're older, they might pee a little bit when they're laughing hard. And crones savor the good in their lives. They're connoisseurs of the good life moments. So think about these as you age. What do you want in your Act 3? Now, Jean also wrote another excellent book called Goddesses in Older Women, Archetypes in Women Over 50. And I love that. And in it, she talks about goddesses and crones and goddesses as crones. And she says, if you meditate upon a goddess or imagine a dialogue with her, this wise part of yourself becomes more conscious and accessible in ordinary life. What we imagine becoming precedes our development. And the more we want to know a wise woman archetype, the more likely that archetype will emerge in ourselves. Now, you may already be aware of this practice. I wasn't. It's new to me. And some of these stories of goddesses were new to me. She talks about Hecate, Hestia, Sekhmet, Kali, Balbo, who's, I believe, Japanese, Uzume and Kuan Yin and Artemis and Athena, Hera, Demeter, Persephone, Aphrodite. And she talks about them as young goddesses, but since they're goddesses, as they stick around, they get pretty wise. And I really identified with Hecate, who in her crone-ness is at the crossroads. And I was at a crossroads. And as I looked back and read the book, I thought, man, she was talking to me and guiding my ascension into my cronehood. Jean talks about her as your inner midwife who stays with you at the crossroads until you intuitively know what direction to take. And she counsels and advises you to face what is true. And she's a witness, an observer who encourages you to seek the truth of a situation. And she holds her torch for us to see what's behind us and what's ahead of us. There are statues of her that are looking in 3 directions. So I really identified that, with that. But you know, if Kali may be your crone goddess for you, she had plenty of righteous anger, quite a bloody background when she got angry, but perhaps as she matured and became a crone goddess, she was able to temper that wisdom with her anger and accomplish things. You can read more in the book about that perspective, but there may be times when Kali is your crone goddess. Are you a soul crone? So there are a couple of women, younger women, who have not yet gone through menopause, who I've talked to, and they talk about, well, they speak with, you know, there is an older woman presence within them. So maybe you're a soul crone, and this is, I ran into this definition with from a woman, Felicitas Kusch-Lango, and this is how she defines it. It has less to do with age. So a soul crone is a woman who stands in her power, meets aging with awareness and grace, with deep love and the ability to let go. A fierceness to be a warrioress when needed, and equally a gentle presence when that quality is needed. So maybe if you are in your 30s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, maybe you can be in touch with your soul crone. Maybe that is a direction for you to go. So my manifesto, my 9-point manifesto. This is my declaration of cronehood. And I'm hoping that by sharing this, and it's a work in progress, it's a draft, I'm hoping that you can use it to perhaps work on your own manifesto when the time is right. So I was menopausal at age 51, and I knew that something had happened. And like I say here, I knew in every cell of my body that something was different. It happened to my brain and my body and the way it communicated, and it was profound. And I had no words for it, which is really weird for me. I am a person of words, but I have a hypothesis. So when you are maturing, your estrogen receptors are they're everywhere in your body. So your body starts to be flooded with these hormones, and it gets noisy, and your body starts to focus on reproduction, and then you start to focus on children and career and family and your parents maybe, and it's pretty noisy. And then perimenopause is puberty in reverse. And the same level of hormones no longer is flooding your body, and your hormone receptors aren't as fired up. And one day you realize that you've been rewired, and the noise of our hormones has died down, and we can tune into a new frequency. Several friends of mine have described this as coming home to themselves. I have mentioned this to my husband, who just doesn't get it, which is fine. He listens patiently, and he doesn't, we can't connect over this. But I've talked to women, and I've mentioned this, and I have, all I say is something happens. And it's like we lock eyes and we know, yes, something has happened. We've begun our cronehood. We are wise and powerful. We're a little dangerous. We know our story. We know our gifts and our magic, and we know that we have to share them. And we belong to ourselves, to our communities. So next part of my manifesto, this is Act 3. This is the climax of the heroine's journey. You know, if all the world's a stage and if we're all actors in it, Act 3 is when, that's the climax. That's when the good stuff happens. This is what our life has been building toward. And we can use our wisdom and our life experiences, our passion and our purpose. We have the intellectual means to make a difference. So we get to write Act 3. Think about what you want the last 30, 40 years of your life to be. What are you going to do to make a difference? So Crones will save their communities and maybe their societies. I've said this before, but we've had with this radical awakening into leadership and these superpowers, we have what the world needs to make the necessary shifts. We have the power of no, and we're not afraid to use it. We have the power of holding tension, the ability to play poker with the universe, and we have an embodied knowing and an expanded consciousness. And so we can use this to benefit our families, our communities, our societies. There's this hypothesis, it's called the grandmother hypothesis. And in societies where elder women are honored, those communities, those families actually flourish. Now, it's called grandmother hypothesis because the concept is the grandmothers are available to help with children. And so they nurture the children, and the children grow up safer in a safer home. But I don't think it has necessarily linked, I don't think it needs to be linked to having children. I think it can be as a mentor. I think it can be as a career woman, as a volunteer. There are many, many ways to serve society and ensure to work toward its growth. When you look at matriarchal animals, there seems to be the grandmother hypothesis in place with orcas. The elder female in a pod is the one who who watches the youngsters, trains them, teaches them how to hunt, teaches them where the good fishing grounds are. And they're starting to find this a little bit in elephants. And so there was some research lately that seems to indicate giraffes are the same. So clearly we're here to save our communities. Next part of my manifesto, we are no longer at war with our bodies. And body image dissatisfaction peaks in perimenopause. It's as if our bodies are turning against us. We haven't changed anything, and yet things are shifting. Our clothes are tight. We don't feel comfortable. Some women begin to do crash dieting, extreme exercise, and these don't help. And you start to rebel against your body. As women get into their late menopause and postmenopausal years, it's kind of like, this is what it is. My body has supported me. I love me. So we're not at war with our bodies. And that can be transformative on many levels. So we are going to seed. There is a slur, she's letting herself go to seed. She's letting herself go to waste. And I'm telling you, this perhaps is the secret to good aging. As crones, we are autumn, we are winter, we're Samhain in the winter solstice. We know our time is limited. We know we're coming to the end. And so we prepare the way for life to go on and for growth to come. It's like the garden in the fall after the harvest. You take care of it, you cover the seeds, you collect the seeds so that you are laying the seeds for the next generation. So I'm going to seed. Awesome. We embrace our crown and our holiness. In addition to going to seed being a slur, the slurs crone and hag and old crow have been used to describe women as an aging women as something less that's not to be desired. But the words come from pre-patriarchal societies where crone comes from the word crown, where hag comes from the word, the Greek word, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Hagia. There's a famous church in Constantinople called Hagia Sophia, which means holy wisdom. And old crow would be an honor among the Hopi people because the crow mother is the symbol of righteous wrath. So we reclaim our power becoming crones by embracing the metamorphosis of the menopause transition. And these are not my words. This comes from a organization in the United Kingdom called the Red School. Fabulous, great, look them up. But they say menopause is not a design flaw. It has its job to do, it transforms us, and then it's done. And they talk about the 5 steps of menopause. And I think it's a great way to talk about the stepping stones toward thinking about cronehood. It's step 1. It's a good way to get in tune with the wisdom of your menopause journey. Step 1 is called betrayal. Things are starting to break down, and that's what is behind the menopausal feelings of anger. This is essential and it's okay, and it gets you on your path. It's followed by repair. This is time to rest and tend to yourself, to do nothing if you want, nothing except allow the process to unfurl, and it allows your psyche to rewire. Part 3 is revelation, the dawning of a new recognition of yourself. It's a growing self-acceptance. You've done the job of sorting out. You're now making new connections and you're hardwiring these into your deep interior. You're getting strong. Phase 4 is visioning. Be present, listen, receive guidance from your elders, from your crone goddesses, take dictation from the divine. And now your calling starts to take root even more clearly. And because you have the bandwidth to embrace this work. And finally is emergence. You're on the other side. You are transformed and you can't go back now. You are home in yourself and you belong to the world. Another point in my manifesto, change or die. We know that time is short. Accept your truth, honor your insight, your intuition, forgive before it's too late. Act on your righteous anger. Tend the hearth fire, give and receive healing laughter. Get busy living or get busy dying, as they say in the Shawshank Redemption. Preserve what is aligned and destroy what is not. I also believe that crone goddesses are available to show us the way. This is based on my experience with identifying with a couple of crone goddesses, but also in listening to a podcast called The Hidden Brain. It was with psychologist Kristen Neff, and she was talking about self-compassion. And as I compared her talk with the book about goddesses, crone goddesses, I realized that a lot of what the crone goddesses offered was self-compassion. And Kristen says self-compassion is a better path to self-improvement. She says people who practice self-compassion are more conscientious and more likely to take responsibility for their mistakes. She lists 3 elements of self-compassion: self-kindness as opposed to self-judgment, common humanity as opposed to isolation, and mindfulness over identification. And I think these are good things to think about as we try to treat ourselves gently and be kind to ourselves as we heal and work our way toward our crone years. So I have a few exercises for you to try. And one is a meditation. You can also journal on it. I'm not going to ask us to do it here. I'm just sharing it to plant a seed. So ask yourself, what have I learned from life, from my own experiences? And ask yourself, what truth do I need to face? And these answers may not come right away, and they may not come when you expect it, but they may come when you are receptive, and they come into your mind if you're quiet and you wait. Think back to those 5 steps of the menopause transition that the Red School mentioned, and this is one of those stages. Another exercise, write Act 3, write it now. If you don't know where you're going, how do you set out to get there? You need the stepping stones. Ask yourself, what matters to you now? Think about the subject of death. You can think about the meaning of life in Act 3, because it's time to align your yearnings, to resolve personal quandaries, to deal with children and job and spiritual needs, loyalties and beliefs, paradoxes. Where are you going? What are you doing with that now? What do you want to do with those in Act 3? So you might want to craft a personal mission statement, write your own manifesto. You could discuss your purpose and your plan with others. You might want to learn something new to keep sharp, whether it's sharp enough to write Act 3 or sharp enough to be in Act 3. Another exercise, define eldering for yourself. What does it mean to be an elder in this culture, in this community? What are your new responsibilities as an elder? What must you release to make room for the transformations that are going to happen? What do you have to release to get the energy that is ready to pour through your body and your mind and your soul? So I think, I mentioned this to a friend, if more women feared aging less, perhaps they could hear their soul crone speak to them sooner. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we have to stop being worried about aging. I think we have to look forward to it. I think we have to age unapologetically. We have to age fiercely, because this is the time. This is the good stuff. I can't wait to see what comes next. So I wanted to do a couple readings here for you as in closing. One of them is from a writer named Mary Lane, who says, it's easy to dismiss a woman who has traveled through the darkness over and over, mastering death and rebirth in order to survive within a society that deems it's terrifying. What do we do with women who have remembered, who are quietly in the shadows? As the maiden and mother step back to honor her in the autumn of life, we take our seat at the table with honor, embracing the wisdom garnered only through the divine that went before us. We plant the seeds and nourish the growth of the next generation, just as nature would do. We wear our scars, wrinkles, saggy skin, gray and white hair with grace, dignity, and a knowing that we carry some things within our being that only we carry and that the world needs. And then there's this from Samantha Reynolds. I am not old, she said. I am rare. I am the standing ovation at the end of the play. I am the retrospective of my life as art. I am the hours connected like dots into good sense. I am the fullness of existing. You think I'm waiting to die? I'm waiting to be found. I am a treasure. I am a map. And these wrinkles are imprints of my journey. Ask me anything. I love that. So that's my presentation. I did want to say, let people know that if you are interested in getting a copy of these writing exercises, the readings that I did, and other resources, I would love for you to go to the following page on my website. It's www.academy-of-aging.com/Cronehood. And there's a form there, and you can give me your name and email, and I will mail some materials to you. And if you'd like to set up a coaching call, if you'd like to talk about aging, check out my website. I have a newsletter. I am trying to start a series of couch conversations or wise women's circles. Age is, I welcome all ages. I think it's important for all of us to talk about aging. So let's keep in touch. If this is a topic that interests you, if you are ready to explore aging and what it might hold for you. And if it's not your time, that's okay too. Just think about it. I've planted the seeds. I'm going to seed.